Hello, my name is Caitlin Steven, and I chose to do GMOs for my poster. GMOs are genetically modified organisms, and we tend to use them a lot in our agricultural and medical fields. I just wanted to go in deeper and to see if they do increase yields and what the benefits dis- and the problems are with using them, and if we should continue using them. So, GMOs, ethical type I picked was utilitarianisms because they are created to be beneficial. We create them to resist pesticides and herbicides, add minerals and vitamins into it so we have a better diet in poor countries, so they can get more out of their diet out of base starches like rice, like in the case of Golden Rice Project, or resist diseases that were common in wheat and corn, so they would increase crop yields. And there's been studies to show that crop yields have actually increased by 21% in GMOs. So there's some good things about them. But one of the problems with using GMOs is that we don't have a lot of research on them, fortunately. So, and a lot of the research that we do have is done by the companies that make GMOs, so there's bias there. So that's one of the main debates about it. And then you have the independent studies that are shown that they show that the methods that they use are not scientific, so the research is unfounded and not true. But we don't know until more studies are done. But then you have so many benefits from them. Like, a good example that I think of is the Golden Rice Project, because it added vitamin A to a lot of diets that were lacking in it, like in the Philippines and Bangladesh. So, which vitamin A deficiency causes a lot of childhood blindness. So, by adding that, they gave them access to vitamin A at high doses that were cheap and easily to come by that they normally wouldn't have. And then you have the increased crop yields, especially if we're expected to feed 8 billion people by 2050. I mean, crop yields are 21%. That's a huge boost compared to normal food. And with most farmers agree, because the increase of GMO foods and seeds and crops that we see have increased by 89%. Mostly in soybeans, and then it seems by the graph that USDA posted in corn, actually really all of them, mostly soybeans have gone the highest in either herbicide resistance or bacterial resistance, which is what the BT in the graph stands for, and the HT. Another thing I wanted to go into is just the common myths that surround GMOs that I personally have heard, that I've come across. So one of the most common things is cytogenesis is safer form of gene transfer in GMO crops than transgenesis would be. So the difference between the two is CSI genesis uses genes from the same species of plants, and then transfers those genes over into the GMO crop strain that shows desirable effects. And then transgenesis uses actually genes from different species of either plant or animal and transfers those over. But there's still foreign genes in CIS genesis because bacteria is used to cut out the genes that we want and transplant them. So you still have some contamination of a different species in them, which in most cases probably isn't bad. I mean, there's all sorts of things over the food you eat that we eat that you don't want, like bacteria growing on wheat, some corn, it's on your plate and your hands. So. And then another myth is GMOs foods are regulated for safety. Well, this is true to an extent. I doubt the companies continue to research and maintain and make sure nothing's going wrong with their crops that are planted. The only thing they regulate is which farmers have a hold of their seeds, and if they're paying the company for them, pretty much their copyrights is what they're paying attention to, not what the food is doing to people. And then, like I said earlier, independent studies show that GMO crops are safe. Most independent studies that you read about GMOs that are showing that they're safe are done by the companies that, or at least funded by the companies that have produced the GMO crop that they're done on. So that's kind of what the cons and pros of what my opinion is on GMOs. I do think I like the idea of GMOs to an extent. I just wish we had more knowledge on them and what they're affecting the environment and what else they would do. More independent studies that aren't funded by the companies and see if they truly are safe or not. If they are, go ahead, use them. Beneficial, especially if we're wanting to feed 8 billion people. But if they're not safe, we should find alternative methods, like maybe water storage or different versions of herbicide resistance. And that's about it.